regrets. I'm blessed to say the old me dead and gone away.
Hello and welcome. I am Laon, a certified life coach and addiction recovery coach that teaches you manifestation so you can manifest the life of your dreams. If you want any help with any one-on-one coaching services, please check out the drop box below at soulutionscoaching.org for any one of my services. We got custom subliminals and custom affirmations, the straightforward manifestation guide. Go check that stuff out. All right, so I got a really good video today that I felt inspired because along my journey, I made these same mistakes. So I want to correct them in your journey so then you aren't falling into the same trap that I fell into. So what this video is going to be about is tweaking your manifestation game and really tightening up that mental diet. And I know that we might think that we're doing really, really well, but if you're doing these things, this could actually be, I don't want to say holding your manifestation back because technically nothing is holding you back, but it's signs to show that you are not in the state of the wish fulfilled if you are thinking this way. That does not mean that throughout your day that you don't enter into the state. But when you're thinking these things, that just means that you fell out and you're re-entering. You know, you're playing that game of in, out, right? So if we can straighten up and tighten up our mental diet, then it's going to make the journey a lot easier, and we're going to be spending more time in the state, which is good. Not that you have to hold the state and hold that feeling, but the more time that we visit and enter into that wish fulfilled, then that means it's becoming who we are, right? So I just want to be I want you guys to be super aware of this, that you do not have to hold a state. It's about re-entering if you do fall out, but these are signs to show you if you did fall out. So the number one thing that I noticed in my own journey, the mistake that I was making and falling into this trap is, but there's no movement. And looking at my 3D and noticing and telling myself there's no movement. I'm not seeing anything play out. Yeah, I'm getting birds before land, but you know, the person or the money or the clients or whatever it is that you're manifesting, it wasn't showing up. I wasn't physically seeing anything. So I kept telling myself that story of, but there's no movement. I'm doing all of this. I'm feeling really good. I know I'm entering into the state of the wish fulfilled, and yet there's still no movement. Well, because I was affirming that story, then it didn't matter if I was in the state of the wish fulfilled because I entertained more thoughts and more of the dominant state of, but there's no movement. I'm doing this, but I'm not seeing anything from it. So again, that is to say that dominantly, if we are in one state, then that's what gets projected out, which is what I witnessed in my own journey. And I'm sure you guys have made this mistake too. So just observing these thoughts of, wait, why am I assuming that there is no movement? Because there's always movement, even if I physically can't see it. Because right now, in my reality, I am seeing 1% from my own eyes of the grand picture. It's like seeing one puzzle piece out of the whole picture of the puzzle, right? So when we look at it from that perspective, we can clarify that, yeah, there is movement. We can't see what people are thinking behind the scenes. We can't see what physical movements they are, making in their own house when we're in ours, So there are things going on behind the scenes if we realize it or not. And it's just about being aware and observing those thoughts when they come up. That is one clue to let you know, hey, I fell out of the state. If I'm noticing that there's no movement, this is not a thought I would be having if I was in my wish fulfilled, right? If you already had your manifestation, would you be thinking, oh, but there's no movement. I didn't see anything. I didn't get anything. No, because you would already have your manifestation. You would be, feeling grateful and just happy and just enjoying yourself with your manifestation, knowing, oh yeah, I already accomplished this, right? Now, so the second one is very similar, and it's noticing, but there's no action being taken, right? So if we're affirming, but they're not pursuing me, but they're not texting me, but they're not reaching out, and the job didn't call me back. Again, that's in relation to not seeing movement, but we're also telling the story of, but they're not reaching out, they're not pursuing, they're not taking action, I'm not seeing any action. And that's buying into the story of I'm believing in what the 3D is showing me more than I'm believing in my alternate reality, my imagination. And I just want you to be super aware of this, because again, I made this mistake of saying, but they're not taking action, and I'm not lifting a finger. In my reality, everything comes to me. And I declare that, like, I made that decision that everything is coming to me. But I kept focusing on, but this action isn't being taken. And this is not just for a specific person, right? It's the action isn't being taken with, the boss calling you for the job. The action isn't being taken with clients or customers coming and choosing your business. The action isn't being taken for people to follow you or to like and subscribe to your channels, right? So it can be in multiple ways that we're assuming, but they're not taking action. I'm not being pursued. And when we're telling that story, again, it falls back into I'm not in the state, because would we be thinking this way if we had our manifestation? The answer would be no. The thoughts that we would be having if we had our manifestation is, damn, like they fucking took action towards me. I didn't have to lift a finger. Like, I am just so grateful I'm this powerful that everything just came to me. And I started seeing more and more movement every single day, and so on and so forth. It'd be thoughts like that. Almost from like past tense. If you're looking back and you were to tell a friend, or me personally, what I was doing was telling video ideas to you guys as if I had just experienced my manifestation and breaking down exactly how I did it. But for you, if you aren't a coach, it's telling a friend. If that friend asked you, well, how did you manifest it? Like, what were the clues that you knew that you were going to get your manifestation? And it's sitting there telling them, dude, I started seeing all of this movement and they just took action towards me. Like, they were compelled to come towards me, and I just got the phone call and the text, and I was just so happy and excited to hear them, say that they love me or say that I got the job, and so on and so forth. You'd be telling that narrative, right? So I want you to imagine that that's who you are now, right? Embody that state that you're telling a story, how you successfully manifested this, and this, and how you saw the movement, and how you were pursued, and you had action taken towards you, things like that, right? So those are two things that we can tweak very easily in our mental diet. And I think that it's important to catch these things, because again, it's saying that I'm not in the state. And the way to know, and this is with anything, when you're observing your thoughts, you're not being scared of them, you're not trying to flip them, you are observing them. And that's what a mental diet is observing our thoughts, because the thoughts are coming from our self-concept, and our self-concept comes from the state of being that we are in, the state of consciousness, right? So we can tell which state of consciousness we are in based on our thoughts. And if we are feeling triggered by those thoughts, we're getting an emotional reaction from those thoughts, or we're fearing those thoughts. Those are all signs to say, hey, I fell out of the state and I don't like how I'm feeling. I don't like these thoughts, and trying to run from them. And it's not running. Okay. You want to observe them. We don't want to run from them, because they're just going to chase you, right? We just observe them and view them as, okay, so I'm thinking these thoughts. That means that I'm not in the state. How can I get myself back in the state? What thoughts would I be thinking? What feelings would I be having? And how would I be walking around if I already experienced my manifestation? And chances are you're going to catch yourself over and over and over again thinking these old thoughts that aren't serving you in your new state, right? And once you observe them, you'll be aware of the fact, oh, I've been thinking these thoughts. No wonder why my 3D is showing me no movement. No wonder why my person or, the people in my reality aren't taking action towards me. Because that's the story I'm telling, right? That's the decision that I've made. That's the state that I'm in. So all you have to do is observe those thoughts, have a strict mental diet of noticing when you're thinking these thoughts, how you're feeling, and, what state you decide to re-enter into. So when you observe these thoughts and you're feeling triggered from them, figure out why you're feeling triggered from them, right? And it's usually just because you're starting to believe this story more than the story in your imagination, that alternate reality, that imagination, right? And that's okay. It happens in the beginning. But how can you start to believe your imagination more? Re-enter into the wish fulfilled. The repetition of telling a new story, the repetition of going into your imaginal acts and so on and so forth is the way that you are going to start to believe this internal world more than the external world, right? And I'm not telling you to do this all freaking day. If you don't feel like affirming, you don't feel like telling your new story, you don't feel like you're too tired, you're too exhausted, you're too busy, whatever you have going on, don't force yourself to re-enter into the state. Because we would not be doing that if we had our manifestation. The way to manifest effortlessly is when you have a thought of your desire, automatically enter into the wish fulfilled. Think from that end. Think from, oh yeah, like I remember I successfully manifested this, thing. Or, I love my new relationship. Like it's so harmonious and beautiful. And start telling that new story when it comes to mind. Okay? Don't force yourself to flip thoughts. Don't force yourself to try to feel any kind of emotions. Don't force yourself to think positively or high vibe when you don't feel like it. If you need to take a down day and you just need to rest and not even worry about manifestation, then do that. Because again, that's something you would be doing if you already had manifested all of your desires. You wouldn't be worried about, oh, but I got to catch this thought and I got to flip it and I want to make sure that I'm able to manifest this and I don't want any fears manifesting and yada, yada, yada. We wouldn't be doing that, right? So I want you to take on that outlook of, wait, what would I be thinking, feeling, and how would I be showing up if I had my manifestation, and observing the thoughts that do not match and align to that new story. And then when you feel like it, enter into the wish fulfilled. When it feels good, when you feel like, when the thought pops in your head, or when you just feel like you're in a good mood and you want to fulfill yourself, you want to enter into that state because it feels good. It should never feel like work. I want to clarify that. If it feels like work, you're giving yourself a headache, you're feeling exhausted, you need to make some tweaks to your game and stop forcing yourself. Because again, manifestation is a natural thing. We were doing it unconsciously, and now we're doing it consciously. And unconsciously, it didn't feel like work. We are just having things happen to us. Now we are making a decision of what we want to experience. It's not any different. Before we made the decision that I'm a victim, this shit is always going wrong for me, yada, yada, yada. Those are all decisions, even if they were not beneficial. That's the story we told, and we stuck our heels in and just thought that that's who we were, that's what we deserved, that's how people are, people don't change, so on and so forth, right? That's that narrative. What we're doing consciously is just telling the story of what we do want and just being aware and observing of, hey, okay, I don't like this story. I don't want to read this book anymore. I'm going to close this book and start a whole new one because that storyline of what I do want is way more beneficial for me. And again, it's not supposed to feel like effort. So these are just a few things to observe, to let you know if you are in the state or out of the state, and it's just tweaking that mental diet. So then you are more often, 51% of the time, in the wish fulfilled. And remember, in your reality, you are only seeing 1%, one piece of the puzzle out of the whole picture of infinite possibilities. So keep that in mind. If you do want any help in the future, please check out the drop box below. All of my information is down there in one-on-one coaching services. Thank you for being here. I truly appreciate it. If you can hit that thumbs up button if this video helped you, that way other people can get help as well. And hit that subscribe button with the bell notification. That way you're notified every time that I post a new video. Thank you very much. And as always, guys, you got this.